All right, so today we're taking you to the shores of Tamil Nadu.
Sun-drenched coast, imagine that.
Yeah, it's a bright Sunday morning, April 6th, 2025. And you can just sense this energy in the air
Like a buzz, almost.
right as Prime Minister Modi arrives.
Not just for a quick hello, it seems.
Definitely not. He's here with a substantial agenda projects worth a whopping 8,300 crore.
And the way he delivered it all.
It was fascinating, really. A blend of development talk, that strong emphasis on language, and then you sprinkle in some pointed remarks.
It was like watching different aspects of India's story all coming together in real time.
Exactly. And that's what we wanted to dive into today with you.
Give you a richer understanding of what happened, why it matters.
You shared this event with us, and we thought, wow, there's so much to unpack here.
So much going on beneath the surface.
So where do we even begin?
Well, the timing itself was interesting, don't you think? The Prime Minister choosing to visit on Ram Navami.
Oh, yeah. He definitely tied that into his message, pretty explicitly stating that good governance is the foundation of a strong nation, and that Lord Ram is like the ultimate inspiration for good governance.
Really invoking that legacy, right?
Yeah, it makes you think about the layers of meaning there.
Absolutely. I mean, the timing aligning with Ram Navami and that explicit link to good governance, it suggests a strategic effort to tap into those deeply held cultural values.
It's like adding this extra layer of legitimacy to the development agenda, especially in a region where those sentiments resonate strongly.
Right. You have to wonder who he was specifically speaking to with that connection.
For sure, it adds a whole other dimension to the event.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit, something else that really stood out was the emphasis on the Tamil language.
Yes, front and center throughout the day.
He went as far as saying he wanted to take Tamil to every corner of the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and he highlighted the ongoing efforts like international Tamil conferences, the promotion of Tamil literature globally.
Appealing to that sense of pride.
Exactly, and you could feel that emotional resonance, especially for Tamil speakers.
I mean, the language has such a rich history, and that pride is undeniable.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And if we connect this back to the national context, this focus on Tamil could be seen as a strategic move maybe to counter some of those regionalist sentiments.
By showing respect for local culture, given the historical sensitivities around language issues in Tamil Nadu.
Right. India's linguistic diversity is incredible, and finding that balance between celebrating those differences and fostering a sense of national unity, it's always a challenge.
A tightrope walk, for sure.
Definitely. And then there was this anecdote he shared, the one about the unsigned letters.
Oh, yeah, that one got a chuckle out of me.
He was talking about receiving letters from various leaders in Tamil Nadu, and then he pauses with this knowing look and says, not a single one signed in Tamil.
The crowd loved that.
Oh, they did. There was this wave of laughter, and he goes on to say, come on, at least sign in Tamil.
It seems lighthearted, but...
Right, but was there something more to it?
I think, so it's interesting to analyze the effectiveness of a jab like that.
A little humor goes a long way.
Exactly. Was it purely to connect with the audience, or was there a strategic purpose?
Like highlighting a disconnect.
Potentially between those pronouncements of Tamil pride and maybe the actual practices.
It's using humor to deliver a message that might have a little edge to it.
A clever tactic, for sure.
But then he moved on to something that felt really significant, this push for medical education in Tamil.
Yes. That announcement could have some far-reaching consequences.
He was really passionate about it, saying it's essential to offer medical education in Tamil, opening doors for students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds who might struggle with English medium education.
Leveling the playing field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He even gave this example of a young person, let's call him Ravi, from a humble background, who can now pursue a medical career because the language barrier wouldn't be there.
It's a compelling argument.
And it makes you think about the potential ripple effects.
Absolutely. On one hand, the potential benefits are huge. Wider access to education, a more representative healthcare workforce, but practically speaking, it'll require massive investment developing high-quality Tamil language textbooks, making sure faculty can teach in Tamil, and upholding those national curriculum standards.
It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, and if we look at other states, Karnataka and Gujarat, for example, they've been trying this out, offering professional courses in local languages.
So maybe there are lessons to be learned from their experiences.
Definitely worth looking into, and it's interesting to consider this in light of the National Education Policy 2020.
Which strongly advocates for education in local languages.
Right, but it seems Tamil Nadu hasn't made much headway in this area specifically. So there are questions about the obstacles they're facing and what impact this renewed emphasis from the Prime Minister might have.
It's a bit of a challenge being laid out.
Perhaps.
Okay, let's switch gears now to something a bit more tangible. The unveiling of the new Pamban Bridge.
Now that's a piece of infrastructure.
Talk about impressive. He presented it as India's first vertical lift railway sea bridge.
Wow, a marvel of
It
engineering.
really is. It's 2.05 kilometers long with a section that lifts vertically by 17 meters.
Imagine that.
I know, right? And the project cost about 550 crore, replacing the old Pamban Bridge, which had been deemed unsafe.
The old one from 1914, I believe.
Yeah, a bit of history there. I even heard this story about a local fisherman who was over the moon because his boat wouldn't have to wait for trains to pass anymore.
It's those little details that bring it to life.
It really shows you the real-world impact of these projects. So from an engineering perspective, this bridge is a huge achievement, that vertical lift technology. It's complex and allows large ships to pass underneath without interrupting the railway traffic.
A major improvement over older swing bridge designs.
For sure. And this connectivity is vital for Rameshwaram's economy.
Think about the boost to trade and tourism.
And when you consider the larger economic picture, this bridge is just one piece of it. There's been something like 1.5 lakh crore in central projects initiated in Tamil Nadu since 2019. It's a significant investment. And speaking of investment, that brings us to the discussion around the allocation of funds to Tamil Nadu,
Ah, yes. The financial side of things, always a talking point.
especially in a federal system like ours. The Prime Minister stated that they'd increase the financial allocations to the state.
Providing more support.
Right. But then he added this pointed remark saying that some leaders were still complaining despite the increase.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there was a fact check later confirming a budget increase of about 15% for the 2024-25 fiscal year for infrastructure and welfare programs.
So the numbers do add up.
They do, but this kind of back and forth between the federal and state governments is pretty typical.
Yeah.
You often have different perspectives on whether the funds are enough and how they're being used.
Of course, the central government points to the increase as a sign of their commitment.
While the state government might want more financial autonomy or they highlight specific needs they feel haven't been met.
It's a complex dynamic with different political priorities and assessments of what's needed on the ground.
It's all about finding that balance. So as the day came to a close, the Prime Minister circled back to some of the key themes he touched on earlier.
Bringing it full circle.
Yeah, that strong sense of Tamil pride, the cultural heritage, the distinct Tamil identity.
Weaving those threads together.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like he was trying to create a cohesive narrative for the day.
And for the listener at home, considering everything we've talked about, the development projects, the political messaging, the cultural undercurrents, what does it all mean? What does this event tell us about where Tamil Nadu stands today?
How it fits into the larger national context.
Right, because there's always more than meets the eye. We have to look beyond the surface.
Definitely. The whole day was this mix of real, tangible progress. The bridge, the project announcements delivered with its very specific communication style, using humor, using directness.
Getting those points across.
And I can't help but wonder how the Tamil Nadu government will respond, especially to those points about language and education and those unsigned letters.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. So for our listeners out there, what do you see as the key takeaway from all of this? How might these developments shape the future of Tamil Nadu?
What will the ripple effects be?
We want you to keep thinking critically, exploring these issues, because this event, it's just a snapshot of a much bigger story.
A story that's still unfolding.
Exactly. And we hope this deep dive gave you some food for thought and a starting point for your own exploration.
There's always more to uncover.